I want to tackle the Supreme Court decision, which you said is extremely significant. It's a landmark decision by the Supreme Court. How do you push back on this, Reverend?
Well, there has been historically race-based negative action, 246 years of legal slavery, 100 years of legal Jim Crow, and today you can measure the absence of blacks and women and people of color in every dimension of American life. And so it means that fewer youth will be going to college, getting contracts, getting jobs, or being viable participants in our economy. Affirmative action, I might add, for women and people of color, which is a majority, not a minority part of our population, women and people of color, Title IX and Title VII.
But, Reverend, some universities have pushed back, and they have said, look, affirmative action does not work for us. There are other ways that we can promote diversity. We can target more low-income students. We can, for instance, in Texas, Reverend, I'm sure you know this, they say that, look, the top 10% graduates, high school graduates, are immediately admitted into Texas universities. Those are other ways to get diversity into the university system. Are they not credible?
No, you know, they can find black athletes, they can find them to stimulate their image and to raise their money because they want to. You know, we did not know how good, if I can say, baseball could be till everybody could play. We went about the way to recruit and train and develop. We're going to recruit and train and develop our youth, and we're going to pay a big price for not doing it. I look at HP and Google and Facebook and Twitter. They have no blacks on the board of directors, for example. Unless there's some enforcement for goals, targets, and timetables, Ms. Liu, we will not, in fact, grow. I just regret to think that at this stage, and by the way, it says race-based, not even gender-based. And let me tell you, Title IX is gender-based. Why do you have women basketball and track and golf and tennis and all these schools? It's illegal to lock women out. But it's right now legal to lock blacks out on the same basis, and that's not fair.
There was a poll out last year by ABC News and Washington Post that said about 2/3 of Americans are opposed to affirmative action. So, Reverend, it would seem that a majority of Americans do not want affirmative action in the education system.
Well, you know, because the expression has been poisoned. When Dr. King was killed because of his Vietnam position and the anti-war position, he was about 55% negative among blacks, about 72% negative among whites. We didn't appreciate him as a martyr. Now we embrace him as a martyr. So popular opinion may not very well be what we really need to focus on. But all the focus right now on Sterling and the ranting racist rancher out in the West,
yes,
we're ignoring the impact of the Supreme Court decision on making voting less accessible with Section 4 taken out, making access to education less accessible. The disparity gap between blacks and whites in health care, income, wealth, and housing. And lastly, the big banks were fined for targeting blacks and browns with subprime lending, predatory lending, and private mortgage investments. They were fined $24 billion. And guess what? Not one criminal charge.
Reverend, just before I let you go, because we are going to talk about the Clippers in a moment, because that is the news of, it seems to be, has been the news, really, of the weekend. Reverend, on the tech companies, you mentioned, you know, the lack of diversity on boards and in the C-suite. Have you talked to any of the tech companies and their leadership?
As a matter of fact, we testified at the shareholders meeting of HP about 2 weeks ago. HP has no blacks on their boards, and 20+% of their market is black and brown. We're going to the Verizon board meeting tomorrow. Here's the case. There's a $50 billion offering, $300 million in fees, not one dime to a black, a Latino, or female company. That's unacceptable. We want two-way trade. We want two-way reciprocal, mutually beneficial trade. That's all we really want. And when you ignore the black and brown market, you're ignoring market, money, talent, and location, which leads to growth. All we ask is you cannot grow using half the market. Like being a one-act quarterback. You cannot be successful if you don't see the whole market. There's a market of Latinos and blacks and Asians that's growing. They must be included as the keys to growth.